G'day, it's Peter Johnson here again, and welcome back to our $1 Million Plus Business Series, Video 3. And if you haven't seen the first 2 videos in the series, then stop the video right now, go back and start from video 1, because we're taking you through a series of steps that are key to ensuring that you have a highly profitable and sustainable business. In the first 2 videos, we've covered our planning, your time management, and your marketing. These are the first 3 steps in ensuring that you generate more leads into your business, you convert more of those leads to sales, you get your customers to come back more often and transact with you more often, you get higher prices for what you actually sell in your business, and make your business a lot more profitable. Remember, 95% of businesses fail in their first 5 years. And these 8 key steps that we're going through are the things that will help and prevent your business from failing. And we know that you want to be one of the 5% that not only survive beyond 5 years, but turn into a highly profitable enterprise. Our comprehensive program is aimed at helping you to do 2 key things. One is the today things. Help you generate more leads, more sales, more profits right now. And then the second part of our series is about helping you ensure that you are one of the 5% that survive beyond 5 years as a highly profitable enterprise. So in this video, we're going to show you sales and how you can convert more of those leads into sales into your business. So let's head over to the $1 Million Business Incubator and let's get stuck into it. Welcome back to the $1 Million Plus Business Incubator. When was the last time you bought from someone you didn't like? It's very rare that you do. Now and then you get caught and you actually buy from them because you have to, but on most occasions you'll go back to the person you liked and you'll buy from them. That's because sales is the same as marketing. It's all about communication and how well you communicate with someone and how well you establish a relationship with them. And remember the saying we had in the previous video, true communication is the response you get. So how well you communicated someone will be determined by the response you get back. And if the response you got back wasn't what you expected, then you've more than likely not communicated it to them properly. Because sometimes you'll work with people in sales and you'll be going through your process and you can see they really wanted to buy it. But they didn't purchase it from you. They went somewhere else and bought it. And the simple fact is, it's because you failed to communicate your true value properly. Because people don't buy on price. We hear all the time, oh, you've got to be the cheapest, people buy on price. They don't. People buy based on perceived value. If your product is the same price as the one over here, or it might be dearer than that one, you've got to communicate the value of your product over the value of that product. And if you can't, they're going to go and buy the cheaper product. So you need to have the ability to actually show the true value of buying from you rather than buying from someone else. That's what people buy on. If they see value in it, they'll actually buy it. If they don't, they'll go to the cheapest price. That's the way it works. So people don't just go about the price. It's not about price. It's about how well you can show true value in what you're selling to them. So there's some 4 key areas when it comes to sales. As you can see in what we've been working through in the last 2 videos in here, each of these steps, because sales is number 4 in those key balls that you need to keep an eye on in your business every day, day in, day out, they all have processes and steps in them. And that's why it can be so hard to actually have a really good business running, because there's so much you need to keep your eyes on and work with. Now, in sales, you're talking your product and service, your product or service, I should say, / service, because you might sell a product, you might sell a service, or you might sell both. There's the sales process. There's the sales interview. And we call it an interview because generally it's a it's a process where you're asking a lot of questions like you do in an interview, so as you can find out as much information as you can. So we, in a sense, call it a sales interview. The other step is the follow-up. Wow, over the years, and as an old office equipment technician, I remember the biggest complaints from our customers were that they never saw the sales rep after they bought the product. He pestered them and he went to them all the time until they bought, and then after they bought he didn't see them again until he had something else to sell to them. Used to be their biggest complaint, and it's why they would chop and change sometimes, because the follow-up process was never as good. And they want that relationship to be sustained after the sale. So our product and service, it's very important to know that your product is good to high quality. Now, I say good to high quality, and people will turn around and say, well, it's got to be high quality. Well, good quality product is okay. Because if you've got a high quality product and you can't sell it too well, then you're not going to sell anything either. And a high quality product if you can't market it properly. It needs to be at least a good quality product, so as it is something good that people can buy. Your good to high quality is your variation in price, and you might have a good product and a high quality product, and you can offer them the two different options, but no less than a good quality product. The other important aspect of product and service is your knowledge. Your knowledge is very important to the level of the person that you're selling to. And I say that because if you're a sales rep on a floor, you're selling to the direct user, you're going to know the product inside out, so as you can make sure that everything that they need to know, you can provide them with good, quick answers. But I also say your knowledge to the level you're dealing with, because I recall in the past, over years, account managers that dealt with corporates. And those account managers needed to know their product, but not in depth, because the person they were selling to was a national buyer, and they didn't really know their product, know everything that was going to do either. And it was generally someone underneath the two of them that would actually get together and look at the product itself. But this major account sales rep, his focus was to look after the major account and have them keep buying. They didn't necessarily know the product that well, because the person that was buying and making the decision didn't know it all that well either. It was still underneath. So I say your knowledge to the level of the person you're selling to. That's important. So as a small business owner, you've generally got to be pretty in depth on what your product and service is. The other bit is it needs to be supported. If you can't support the product or service, then don't sell it, because that is where you lose customers. Afterwards, when something goes wrong, you can't supply, bang, you've lost the customer if you can't support it. So it's very important. Sales process. It's very interesting that when you talk to a lot of business owners, they're at the point of initial contact, they're expecting to close the business. And the business is not there to be closed at that point, but they're going in with the sale in their eyes, rather than what is my main point for going here. There are steps in a sales process based on your industry. And whether you can go in and get the sale straight away, an over-the-counter sale or something like that, or whether or not your industry has a process of meetings and finding information and coming back and putting together solutions and then a proposal and then going and delivering that. And there's some sales processes have a lot of steps, and there's some processes that have a single step. You need to know what it is in your industry, and specifically for the part or item that you're selling, because it could be, you might have some products that take a lot of steps and other product that's a quick step. It's important to know that and what you expect to achieve at each step. Whether or not you're just looking for information or just looking to get an appointment to start with, information, looking to see if the proposal, or put a proposal forward and see if that's what you actually talked about and met their needs, and then looking at when is the buying, the sales decision or the purchase decision going to be made, those sorts of things. You need to clearly understand it and work with that process and just target what you expect to get out of it. all through this process, the sales process, it's about a conversation. And it's about building a relationship. And I noticed there's a new name in the marketplace of sales, sales training, Ari Galper, an American based in Australia. And in looking at some of his stuff, it actually is very good because it talks about the fact that it's a conversation. The steps and all that, they might be there, but this is about how you build a relationship with someone and understand their needs and show how you can actually resolve those needs, those issues for them and get them to buy. But the whole process as you go through the sales process is about communication and creating relationship. It's not a burn and churn. I have worked with some companies that their focus was, if they don't buy it today, that's it, we don't want to know about them. Well, less than 5% of people buy on the day. And there's 95% of people that if you can work with them and create a relationship, you're going to get a lot more sales. And that needs to all be understood in your process and your marketing process. And so the next step is the sales interview. And that's a process where you're getting together with your prospect to find out about what their needs are, what their issues are, what their wants are within their business. It's that time when you finally got your appointment and you're now sitting down with them, and it's about asking a series of questions. It's about creating the relationship with them and building on it and understanding from their point of view of where they're at, why they're there, and so as you can then work through the process of showing how you can help them get through where they're at with your service or your product. So this series of questions are designed to dig down and find out more and more about your customer and what their wants are, what their issue is and what their problem is. And that allows you to get a lot of information. And with information, you can now link your product back to those clients' issues and show how it can resolve those issues for them, whether it's your product or your service, and what the benefits will be to them and how you've done it for other customers or clients. So it's very important that you take the time to find out as much as you can about your client or your prospect and their issues and needs. Then we look at the point where we need to deal with objectives. Say objectives, objections. Objections are the things where they turn around and say yes, but. Well, the biggest thing when I've spoken to people and spoken at events and work about clients and that, and when I ask, so what are the objections you get? You know, just about every occasion, there's one, there may be two, and there may be a third one. But generally there's at least two that they get all the time. Price is one, and then a second one will be something else. So my question is then, how could they be an objection? If you know that on just about every occasion, these are the 2 or 3 key things that come up, surely you have an answer for those already, and surely you deal with them in the process of that sales interview. When you're taking your customer through, finding out about it, and now linking what you do or what your product will do for them against the issues and needs that they have, that the objection should be taken up then as you go through the process. So they talk about dealing with objections, but to be quite honest, you should have them dealt with beforehand. It makes it much more difficult for those objections to come up because you've shown value. Price, remember, is about showing value. And in this process of questions and linking your product to it, you've got to build the value of what you do. And that starts to take the price objection away. The other step in this sales interview is asking for the sale. At some point in this process of meeting with them, whether it's at the first point or whether it's 3 or 4 or 5 meetings down the track, at some point you've got to ask for the sale. And that's where most people get caught out, because they go and start the business, but they never learnt sales and they're scared to ask for the sale. They're scared to ask for so-and-so, when would you like to start? Would you like to start next Tuesday? Well, let's get it organised. It's got to be asked. And a lot of people walk away without ever asking for it. So it's very important that we learn how to do that. The next step is the follow-up. As I mentioned earlier, I've heard a lot of customers over the years say that that salesman, he drove me around the bend, he was here all the time until I finally purchased, and I haven't seen him since. Well, that's about relationship, remember? And it's not about getting a sale with that prospect or client. It's about building a relationship and doing ongoing business forever and a day. And that means you come back and see them. Even when there's a problem, come back, see them, sit down, help resolve it. We all know that some things don't go right. It's the ones that can resolve that with that support we talked about here are the ones that keep the relationship going. So it's very important that you keep the communication ongoing. And in that, part of that communication can be back into your marketing. And now client, they've come on board, and part of this follow-up process is they go back into your marketing process where they get more messages about other products and services you deliver. So there's that follow-up. So it's very important that you've got your product or service, that you have that knowledge that it's a good, high-quality product or service, that your knowledge is good on it, and that you've got it supported. And then that you know the sales process, you know the steps that it takes to generate a sale in what you do, whether it's a one-step process or whether it's a 5 or 10-step process, that you know it, and that you know what you should be achieving at each step. And also building that conversation and the ongoing relationship in all of that. Because sometimes that building the conversation and that ongoing relationship can actually get you to the sale earlier. Because of the fact that, remember, it's about communication. It's about, I asked the question, when was the last time you bought from someone you didn't like? And you generally don't. So and this process is about building that. It's about the sales interview. It's about having a questioning process that digs down and finds out the real issues, so as you can show how your product or service is actually going to resolve that issue for them and what the benefits are, and how you've done it for others, and how you can show real value in what you've got and what you do. That's what's important. The objections, you should know your key objections already, so they should be dealt with beforehand, before it even comes to the point that they have the objection. And asking for the sale. Turn around and saying, so when would you like to start? Or would you like to take it today? And starting to close that sale. It's then following up. One, as the salesperson, following up your customer, make sure they're happy and everything's going well, and what else can you do with them? And also popping it back into your marketing, so as in the marketing can constantly have contact with them and sell as well. But remember, this is about communication. It's about communicating with people. And sales predominantly is face-to-face. It can be on internet, it can be through material that they buy online and that as well. But you still have to do all the same things in that. But it is about communicating with people. And in communicating with people, there's some things that we need to know. We need to know one thing, and that's how they learn. Let's go for the other colour. Let's go how they learn. It's very important to understand how people learn different things. We need to understand what their behaviour is. Their behaviour type. Because if you can understand the type of person that they are, then you can communicate with them in their type and their style. And that's very important. And it's learning how you communicate. It's very important to understand how, when you're communicating to people, that the things you do and say really make a difference in generating that sale. So if we look at how they learn, and there's 3 key ways that people learn. And the first one is visual. You've got people that are visual learners. They learn from seeing it done, seeing it happen, whatever it is, but they're very visual in their learning. You've got people that are very auditory in their learning. So they can tell by hearing. They learn by hearing things. What you tell them, they take in and they take it on board and they learn from that. The other one is that touch and feel, or the kinesthetic. Touch and feel. They're people that need to touch, they're going to feel it and inside them. And it's very important to understand that these are three key, there's a few other things you can break them down, but these are the three basic key ways people learn. And when we're talking to someone that we see as visual, then we need to talk in visual terms. Picture this. Can you see yourself doing this? And if it's an auditory person, you'll be saying, how does this thing up? Hey, does that ring a bell? And you're probably now realising that people say those sort of things, that, oh, that rings a bell, or I see what you're saying. If it's a touchy feel, a kinesthetic person, then you're going to be talking and say, hey, can you get a feel of this? Or how does that feel? Can you feel that water lap around your ankles? So it's very important that as you listen and as you watch and as you're communicating with someone, that you take note of the words they use and the actions they take to learn, well, they're more of a visual person, or they're more of an auditory person, or they're more of a kinesthetic person, and then you can communicate back with them in that terms and help them learn and understand your product. Then we look at the behaviour type, and we use a DISC method. DISC is a behavioural program where you can learn the different types of behaviour and what your main behaviour is and what least, and in four key behaviours. And one is a dominant person. The second one is a influential person. The third person in there is a stable person. And the fourth one is a compliant person. Now, we all have, we have a mix of these in us, but some are higher and others are less. And a dominant person is someone that's talked short, sharp to the point, and they come across a bit bombastic in a way at times, and they'll make decisions quickly, and they're saying we're going this way. They're very people orientated and they're very task orientated. And a lot of business owners are high Ds. That's the sort of trait you need for being a business owner, is that you get up and get going. An influential person is someone that can sell ice to Eskimos, and the Eskimos love it. They're very social people. They have really good people skills. They're outgoing, and they have the ability to influence people to do things. They'll have the brighter colours and drive the yellow cars and that, because there's a lot of it's about them. And then you have the stable person. That's pretty much the bulk of the workforce out there, or the people in Australia and other countries. About 60-64% stable. Consistent, reliable, they've got good people skills, they may be a little bit more reserved, but they're people that simply can get on with it and you can rely on what they say. And then the fourth person is a compliant person. Dot every I, cross every T. This is what the book says, this is the way we will work. Things like accountants and bookkeepers, those sorts of people, and pilots, very much compliant. They follow the rules. They need a lot of information to make a decision, and they won't make a decision until they're really happy with it. So there's a makeup of these different types of people in you. Some are higher, some are less. So it's now in a sales situation, it's understanding that as I talk to them, that now this person answers questions short and sharp, and you know, they're a bit sort of, they come across a little bit rude, so they're probably a high D person. So you need to communicate back with them in that manner. Short, sharp, to the point, not necessarily rude, but short, sharp, don't waffle, don't spend a lot of time talking about other things because they're not interested. If they say they're going to call you tomorrow, they're not. Keep the sale going, open it up there and then. If you're talking to an influencer, then you need to talk. And it might not even be on subject for a lot of the time, it might be off because they are building a relationship and a friendship. With someone that's stable, they'll want to know a little bit more information. They'll still want to talk a bit. But if they say, I'll give you a call back tomorrow, then that's likely what they'll do. So you don't need to push them to try and sell to them there and then, because they're the person that's likely to ring you back. And as we said, a compliant person, Well, you've got to give them information. They're not going to make decisions until they know all the facts. So you need to recognise that they're asking a lot of questions, they'll need a lot of information. So again, it's understanding different behaviour types and recognising them as you're working with someone or selling to them, so as you can start to work in their primary behaviour type, and that way you start to mirror image them. Remember, we want to match and mirror, we don't want to mimic, but we want to match and mirror people because that's how the relationship runs best. How you communicate is very important. There's three key things here in the communication. The words you use, the voice you use, and your body language. So these three areas is, the words you use is one thing, but you can say words in many different ways, and the same word can mean different things. So the words are important, but your voice and the inflections in your voice and how, if you're passionate and up and going or you're low and mundane in your voice, they influence the words you use incredibly. So it's how you use your voice when you're talking to someone is important, and your body language. If you're slumped and talking to someone in a mundane voice, then they're not going to deal with you very much because you're not the sort of person they want to deal with. So your body language, that you're not over the top, but you do have some enthusiasm, some passion, and some energy in you which will rub off onto them. That's very important in the sales process. So when we look at these three key areas in sales, is understanding how people learn is very important. So as you communicate in that learning modality for them. Understanding and trying to get an idea of what their main behaviour type is allows you to communicate directly in that behaviour type with them. And how you communicate using your words, voice and body language, very important in getting the sale. Enthusiasm, passion, those sorts of things are what get people to come on board with you. So it is about communicating with people. So it's very important that we've got those four key areas, our product and services, knowing those, the sales process is having a process and understanding what it is in your industry, your sales interview, the questioning process, tying your product in with their issues and that showing how it will resolve their issues, the benefits to them and how you've done it for others, dealing with those objections and asking for the sale, all important in that interview process. Then the follow-up, going back and seeing them, even if things aren't going right, going back and seeing them and keeping that relationship going. And then in all that, looking at these three areas about how they learn, behaviour type, and how you communicate. They're all parts of sales, and they're the things you need to learn in sales. And as I say, most business people weren't in sales before they got into business, and this is all new to them, and they don't like selling. Don't have to sell. It's about relationship building, it's about communicating, and it's about knowing some simple fundamentals on how to do it. Now again, this is like the marketing. All of this, learning this and how to do it is very important for a business owner. But the second part of it for a business owner is the fact that if you now start to employ salespeople in your team and have a sales team working for you, then you need to know how to manage that team and be able to train them and be able to understand that they are doing the right things in the sales side of it to ensure that they can be successful. So this is about learning how to do it and doing it when you first start, certainly. But then as you start to grow and you bring salespeople in, it's about knowing how it should be done and managing your salespeople. And the biggest thing is, again, most business owners haven't managed salespeople in their past, in their careers. And managing salespeople is a very specific process. A lot of business owners end up getting salespeople to do other things like deliveries and other side jobs and that. But the problem is that takes everything away from selling. And they've now got excuses on why they haven't sold. I had to deliver this, I had to do that. Sales is about sales. If you employ a salesperson, then they should be employed solely to do sales, and that's what will be required of them. And you need to learn to ensure that you can manage them. The weekly meetings, generally a Monday morning, so as the week gets underway properly. Ensuring that they're doing their prospecting and that you've got targets and numbers for them to meet. If If you don't have all this and understand this about sales, then you're not going to be very successful having a sales team. And that again is where we come in. That's what we work with you to help you ensure that you understand it so as you can manage the team. And that so as you don't get these sales reps that want high retainers and cars and all these things and don't deliver. That's just no good to your business, and it costs you a lot of money, and you get very wary of employing salespeople. We've got some clients that have just put some salespeople on in the recent months, and one, we didn't rush. Each of them has taken generally at least 6 months to get the sales rep that we wanted, and then the sales reps are being managed very carefully as sales reps. It's very important that you do that, and that's what we can help you with. So sales, it's the thing that brings the dollars in for your business. So if you can't sell, you won't have a business. So these are the key steps that we need to work with in selling in the business, and that's why it's one of those, it's number 4 on the list of the key things you need to keep your eye on and work with constantly in your business, and that's selling. So now you know the 4th step of building your business into a multi-million-dollar turnover, ensuring you sustain your business beyond the 5-year mark. Remembering that 95% of businesses fail in that first 5 years of starting up. We've just gone through sales, helping you to convert more leads, to get higher prices, and to become more profitable in your business. So far we've covered planning, time management, marketing, and sales. These are the 4 now things. When you're starting your business, these are the key things you need to get stuck into and focus on all the time. And as you then keep growing your business, you still need to focus on these 4 key items to grow and build your business. And in the next video, we're going to cover the 4 other key steps for creating a sustainable business, something that's going to last long term. And that's the recruiting of really good quality people, your leadership skills, creating a sustainable business that can run without you, and investing your profits. You know, if there's something I really enjoy, it's providing this information and knowledge to business owners just like you and seeing you put it into practice. But unfortunately in a video series like this, you're limited by time. So if you really would like to get control of your time and start generating more leads into the business, converting more of those leads into sales and generating higher profitability in your business, and being one of those 5% that last beyond the 5-year mark, then join us in our next free $1 million plus business webinar, in which we will show you how we help you go right through the process of achieving just that. There's one coming up shortly. All you need to do is go back to the video, to the email that this video came on, and there's 2 links, one to a morning session, one to an afternoon session. Or evening session, I should say. Click on the link that you want to attend and simply register, and we will see you there.